Larry Bird is truly one of the greatest players to ever play the sport of basketball. He is a 3-time MVP, 3-time NBA champion, 12-time All-Star, and a seemingly unanimous inclusion on anyone's list of the top 10 players of all time. Bird played his entire career with the Boston Celtics, also making his singular presence felt as a head coach and front office executive with the Indiana Pacers. There are few players who have had such a massive impact on the sport of basketball as Larry Bird. Stay with us till the end. 7-time Larry Bird sought revenge. 7. Salt Lake City, Feb. 18, 1985. I already did enough damage. Early in the fourth period, Casey Jones came to Larry with some news. He had just been informed that Larry had 30 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 9 steals in 3 quarters. Would he like to go back and to get that 10th steal and thus be able to tell the grandchildren about his quadruple-double? Nope, he said. I already did enough damage. Why go for it when we're up by 30? Larry abused the Jazz for 12 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals in the first period alone as the Celtics jumped to a 34-10 lead. Larry, I remember saying it was no big deal about the quadruple-double. I said I could get one anytime if I wanted to. Even the 10 steals. That was before they changed the rules. Lots of times I had 5 or 6. 6. Richfield, Ohio. April 25, 1985. A bad elbow kept him in the Holiday Inn while his teammates lost Game 3 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was bad enough. But when the Cleveland fans and moronic electronic media had the audacity to cry, "We want Bird," Larry needed no more motivation to suit up for Game 4. "They don't know what they're saying," he snarled. "They don't want me. They don't want no part of me. I'm gonna throw both barrels at him." It was vintage WWF. It was vintage Larry Bird. He made sure he came out early for warm-ups. He waved to the crowd. He took a lap around the floor, and then he buried the Cavs with 34 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. Talk about John Wayne clearing the room. "I loved it," he said. "I loved every minute of it." Larry, I remember one of the referees came up to me before the game and said that if the crowd came out of the stands they would protect me. Oh, I had the fans riled up, but I knew we'd play well because I knew the other players would back me up. I was ready to play that night. 5. Milwaukee, May 17-18. 1986. Gone fishing. Yep, a doubleheader. Games 3 and 4 of this playoff series with Milwaukee showcased the entire Bird package in one 24-hour spurt. On Saturday, he had 7 assists in the first quarter en route to a 19-16-13 triple-double that included a phenomenal dive into a pile and sitting on the floor feed to Kevin McHale for a dunk. "He gave me at least 5 baskets where I didn't have to do a thing," marveled McHale. "All I had to do was stand there." On Sunday, he blew the Bucks away with 4 straight fourth-quarter three-pointers to seal the series sweep. "I hope," said Milwaukee coach Don Nelson. The other Celtics realized what a privilege it is to play with Larry Bird. Larry, Casey, said if we swept we'd have 3 days off, and that's all I needed to hear. When the game was over, I drove straight to French Lick and I was fishing all day Monday. 4. Los Angeles, Feb. 11, 1981. He also cleaned the John and parked some cars. 36 points, 21 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, 5 blocks, 1 stretch of 1-5 for 1-7 shooting. Was there anything else? As a matter of fact, yes. Larry also stopped a couple of 3-on-1 fast breaks. With Magic Johnson watching from the lab bench, Larry put on a majestic basketball clinic at the Forum in what was supposed to be a hopeless game since the Celtics had lost an odd affair in Seattle the night before and hadn't arrived in land till 5 hours before game time. "He told me he was going to do it," said Magic. "He said, 'Sorry, you're hurt. I want you to sit back and watch. I'm going to put on a show for you.'" Larry, no question that was a great game for me. I remember having rebounding rhythm and being just generally very active. Didn't I have 5 steals? I was all over the place that night. 3. Boston Garden, May 13, 1984. His performance was without description. It was Game 7 of a heated, emotional series with the Hubie Brown, Bernard King Knicks, and Larry was ready, wrote Dan Shaughnessy. "Call it a quadruple-double, 43 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and a dozen standing ovations." Larry hit a 16-feet baseline foul away some 14 seconds into the game. And that was the signal he was in complete control. 7 minutes later, he got successive conventional 3-point plays on a lefty banker high off the glass and a 21-feet swisher. "I knew I had it then," he said. "I just wanted to keep going." Hubie wished he had kept going out to North Station. His performance was without description, rhapsodized the Knicks' mentor. "Larry, I remember making that left-handed shot right in front of their bench. Absolutely. That game was one of my highlights." 2. Boston Garden, June 8, 1984. In the heat of the night there was never, ever a night like it, not in this town, anyway. Game time temperature, 97 degrees. Atmosphere, part revival meeting, part Mardi Gras. In ridiculous, almost inhuman physical conditions, Larry shot 15 for 20 en route to 34 points and 17 rebounds as the Celtics take a 3-2 series lead over the hated Lakers. It was a 48-minute steam bath, snorted Pat Riley. Also a quintessential Bird performance in which mind triumphed over matter. Bird set the tone with 8 points and 9 rebounds in period 1. Bird invigorated the crowd with 3 three-pointers. Bird had the Lakers reaching for the superlatives. He did let down once, joshed the assistant coach Dave Wohl. He didn't run to the bench during a timeout. Larry, everybody complained about the heat, but I felt great out there. I remember running by the Laker bench and seeing them sitting there sucking in oxygen, and I felt like I could run forever. The crowd was really into it that night. 1. Boston Garden, May 5, 1991. I can't leave those guys out there all by themselves. Injury-racked, he was already deep into the autumn of his career. He had hit Indiana with a triple-double in Game 1 before checking into New England Baptist Hospital to go into traction for his aching back. And now, with 4:23 remaining in the second quarter of a deciding Game 5, he had stumbled going after a loose ball and had smacked his head against the hallowed parquet. He's coming back in the second half, and they'll go crazy, Indiana coach Bob Hill warned his team. Right he was. Bird jogged through the runway. They indeed went crazy, and Bird took over the game, throwing in jumpers and post-ups while starting 3 fast breaks with rebounds and outlets. He finished with 30 points while shooting 12 for 14 on twos. And for sheer drama it was, and is, unstoppable. All I know is that they'll be talking about him for 100 years, sighed Hill. Larry, when I hit the floor, I thought I broke my jaw because I couldn't move my mouth. I was in a lot of pain, but I could hear the crowd out there and I thought, I can't leave those guys out there all by themselves. Even in the twilight of his career, it was clear Bird still was one of the NBA's best players.